So next up, we have a very special guest. Her name is Mina Kim, and she is an independent journalist from South Korea. She delivers news of the U.S. to South Koreans, and during the 2020 election, she was the one that translated the election and everything about Trump to the Koreans on the channel that she was on. And she's also a professor and owns an education company. So if y'all could help me introduce Mina Kim.
Hi, my name is Mina. I'm a South Korean journalist. It's my honor to be here. So on November 3rd, 2020, and again on January 6th, 2021, about 1 million South Koreans gathered on my live broadcast on YouTube channel to watch the US presidential election. Everyone prayed with one heart that the freedom of future generations would be preserved in this country, the USA, through the great leader, President Trump. Unfortunately, though, when it became clear that President Trump had to step down from the White House, many of my viewers who had been watching the broadcast all night long with me burst into tears of grief. Many Koreans were disappointed. Now, why would so many Koreans be so interested in the results of the American election? It is because the decisions, policies, and events that happen in the United States directly affect us in South Korea and the whole world. I'm an independent journalist from Korea. I was born there, but I had a privilege of attending high school in Wisconsin and college in Pennsylvania. Now I own a media company called The Based, where we work on delivering news about US current events to Korea and the Korean American community here. I began this journey grounded in the beliefs that, number one, knowing the truth is the only way, the true freedom, and number two, that the media is the way by which the truth is made known to the people. Ironically, though, the reason why I stand in front of you here today is because the mainstream media is not as interested in our freedoms. In some ways, I can be thankful to them for being who they are because it has given me this opportunity to be here. In Korea, we admire outlets like New York Times, CNN, and Washington Post, and we treat them like primary sources. Yet in recent years, they have demonstrated a tendency towards reporting biased news to protect the Liberal Party. That's why when I started an alternative press platform, lots of people who are craving a more genuine news service started flocking to my channel. They knew that the basis of freedom was first having full accurate account of the facts. As you all know, South Korea is only a few seconds away from North Korea. We're the same nation, we have the same blood, same language, same heritage, but we are divided. The North is communist and the South is democratic like the US. Which means we as South Koreans have the freedom to exercise our human rights while North Koreans are much more restricted, having to obey the whims of the dictator Kim Jong-un. So about 2 months ago, I had a chance to spend some time with former members of US Congress who were visiting Seoul back then. On the last day of their visit, we decided to visit the Korean Demilitarized Zone called DMZ. It's the place where President Trump entered North Korea and shook hands with Kim Jong-un. Usually when you go there is a line on the ground that separates the two countries, and South and North Korean troops stand facing each other through the line guarding their part of the territory. However, when I visited this time, I could only see the South Korean military present, and there was no one guarding on the North Korean side. So I asked the general there, where were all the North Korean soldiers? And he answered, oh, they all hide inside whenever the visitors come on the South Korean side because they were afraid of getting COVID. I was shocked because North Koreans are usually the reckless ones throwing missiles over to our sea, threatening our country, and now they're so afraid to even come outside and guard their own part of the land because they think COVID is infectious and scary. I mean, the DMZ is located outside on the mountain. So, yeah, so these are examples of the nation of people being split apart by opposing ideologies. So, how did South Korea get to a point where it is almost unrecognizable when compared to the North? The answer is South Korea is living under true freedom because of America. In the early 20th century, Korea was colonized by Japan for almost half the century. It was American missionaries who journeyed into our land and turned so many of our lost and struggling souls into brave followers of Jesus right when we were struggling under cruel and fierce Japanese rule. And it was American government that ensured that Korea did not fall into pervasive ideology of communism, which the North fell victim to. Our founding father Syngman Rhee was highly influenced by Christianity and American democracy. With his faith and belief in American ideals of individual freedom and free markets, he led us to build a new country as the first president of the Republic of Korea. So from the poverty and destruction caused by the Korean War, the Republic of Korea then went on to achieve flourishing that was never before seen. In 70 years, Korea has risen to the 10th biggest economy in the world, all on the foundation of democracy and free markets. However, this also leaves us with a special calling. Today, Republic of Korea is fiercely fighting against socialism stemming from continental forces like China, Russia, and North Korea, and also against the ideologies plaguing the Western countries, such as genderism, government expansion, and media control. Surprisingly, Republic of Korea is one of the few democratic countries in East Asia that has yet to legalize homosexuality or same-sex marriage or to block an equality law. Yes. And moreover, Republic of Korea has a mission to make this wave of democracy flow to the people of North Korea and then to those in China and Russia. We also have a mission to pay forward the biblical values that the American and Western missionaries guided us to. Therefore, the US and Korea must value each other and pray for one another. Thank you. So before I was born, many US soldiers came and fought to protect freedom of our land during the Korean War. There were millions of casualties, including over 50,000 Americans dead and over 100,000 wounded. My people and I will forever remember this and have a deep bond for America because of your sacrifices for us. You as Americans have all the right to be proud of yourselves for your ancestors who fought and shed blood for freedom in South Korea and many different parts of the world. Yes. And you have every right to be proud of the soldiers who are currently making the same commitment as they serve today. But I must warn you today, these days, looking at the division between North and South Korea reminds me of divisions within America. In many ways, the situation is similar. One side of America seeks more and more government control over our lives, more taxes, more regulations, more government handouts, and more jurisdiction over religious matters. This side of America seeks a nanny state where the state is the parent over citizens. The other side of America, I believe it's us here, prioritizes individual freedom from the government. They believe that the government should not involve itself in matters that can be solved by families, communities, and organizations. Instead of the power of the government, it is the power and freedom of the people. Now the United States and Korea must face the struggle of our time together. We must continue to protect the freedoms of our citizens from socialist governments. And America must fulfill its duty to be shining examples of independence to all nations. If the United States becomes great again, we will gain the momentum to redeem a world suffering from the oppressive ideologies of nations like China, Russia, and North Korea. We must go together to accomplish this mission. We must make America great, make Korea great, and work to restore broken freedoms around the world. With God's help, I believe that amazing things will happen when we work together. Thank you.